You unlock your phone. You don't even think about it. Your thumb already knows where to go. Swipe, refresh, scroll. There it is. A notification, a heart, a comment, a number going up. And for a moment, just a second, you feel real. Let's talk about why being seen feels like being alive. Because from the moment you were born, your mind learned one thing very quickly. If they look at me, I exist. Babies cry, not just to be fed, but to be noticed. A nervous system that goes unseen learns to feel invisible. And invisible people, they don't feel safe. Now fast forward, you're no longer a child. You're online, and there's a stage, an audience, a mirror made of screens, and every reaction feels like oxygen. The brain lights up, dopamine fires, you feel chosen, and then, almost instantly, you want more. Let's talk about dopamine loops and digital cravings. Every time someone likes your post, you get a chemical hit. It feels small, harmless, pleasant, but your brain doesn't forget. It rewires. It starts to anticipate, to crave, and eventually to depend, not just on attention, but on a specific kind, positive, public, numerical affirmation. It's not enough to be loved. You need it in numbers, hearts, followers, shares, engagement. And if it drops, you drop with it. Let's talk about the collapse of self-worth. Before social media, you judged yourself by feedback that was slow, gradual, real. Now, you get 100 opinions in under a minute. And the brain doesn't filter nuance. It doesn't say, these people don't know me. It just feels the spike, then the silence. The algorithm isn't just sorting content. It's sorting you. And when you post and nothing happens, your nervous system reads it as rejection, not of your content, of your existence. Let's talk about performance as identity. You start curating, you post what they'll like. You smile a little wider. You filter the shadows out. You become a character who always wins, always glows, always inspires. And the more they like it, the harder it becomes to be anything else. Because now you're trapped, not by the platform, but by the person you've built for it. Let's talk about comparison and internal decay. You're scrolling, someone else is doing more, looking better, living louder, and no matter what you've achieved, you feel small again. Because the brain doesn't compare fairly. It compares brutally. You compare their highlight reel to your behind the scenes mess. And no matter how much love you receive, it's never enough to fill the silence inside you. Let's pause. You think this is just technology, just apps, just distraction. But maybe it's the newest form of an ancient human need to be seen, to be valued, to be known. And in a world of mirrors, you're losing sight of what your reflection even means. You put your phone down. You tell yourself you'll take a break. You don't need it. You're stronger than this. But within minutes, you feel the ache, not in your body, in your sense of self. You feel distant, disconnected, uneasy, like something vital just went missing. Let's talk about withdrawal not from a drug, but from being perceived. Your body got used to the rhythm, a hit of attention, a ping of connection, a moment of meaning. Take it away. And your brain panics. Not because you're addicted to your phone, but because you're addicted to what it gives you. Proof that you exist. Let's talk about the anxiety of invisibility. You step away. No one notices. No messages, no likes, no tags. And even though you're alive, it doesn't feel that way. Because in this world, to be seen is to be. And when you're not seen, you feel erased. Let's talk about algorithmic abandonment. You post something honest, raw, real, and it flops. The reach is low. The likes are quiet. The dopamine doesn't arrive. And suddenly, you question everything. Was it not good enough? Was I not good enough? Because in your nervous system, there is no difference between a bad post and being rejected by your tribe. It reads as danger, isolation, exile. And that exile, you start to internalize it. Let's talk about what happens to self-worth when it's outsourced to an algorithm. You tell yourself it's just the system. The engagement dropped. The timing was off. The platform changed. But deeper down, you feel the sting and you adjust. You stop posting what matters. You chase trends. You mimic. You shapeshift. You play the game. Because being seen is no longer about connection. It's about survival. Let's talk about the slow death of authenticity. You used to know what you cared about. You used to post things because they felt true. You used to speak like a person, not a brand. But now you ask, will this perform? Will this ruin engagement? Will this offend the wrong group? Will this make me disappear again? You're not sharing. You're calculating. You're not living. You're managing perception. And every post that's safe, I feels like another part of you goes quiet. Let's talk about the fear of logging off. You think you want rest, but the silence scares you. You wonder, what if they forget me? What if I miss something important? What if I fall behind? What if I can't come back? Because this isn't just a platform. It's a marketplace of identity. And if you leave, even for a moment, you risk vanishing. Let's pause. You think you're losing control, but maybe you gave it away. Not all at once, but piece by piece, every time you let a stranger's reaction tell you who you are, every time you confused attention with love, every time the silence, I felt like proof. You were nothing without the screen. But maybe that silence isn't punishment. Maybe it's the first moment you can hear yourself. There comes a day when the numbers stop working. The likes don't satisfy. The comments feel empty. The screen glows, but it doesn't warm you anymore. And in that strange silence, a question begins to rise. Who am I when no one's watching? Let's talk about the reconstruction of self-worth. It begins not with confidence, but with grief. Grief for the years you let numbers decide your value. Grief for the parts of you that were silenced because they weren't shareable. Grief for the person you became, just to be liked. You mourn the performance. You mourn the edits. You mourn the applause that never felt real. And then you start over. Let's talk about finding yourself outside the feed. At first, it feels like nothing. You walk through the world and no one reacts. No one validates. No one likes the sunlight on your skin or the softness in your voice or the quiet strength in your decisions. But slowly, something else grows. Something deeper. Something that doesn't blink with each refresh. A sense of self that is felt, not counted. Let's talk about creating without performing. You write, not for the algorithm, but for the ache in your chest. You speak, not to be heard, but because your truth deserves sound. You rest, not as a reward, but because your body is sacred, even when it's not seen. And in those moments, you realize the most authentic parts of you will never trend. Let's talk about connection that doesn't depend on performance. It's slower, it's smaller, it's quieter, but it's real. You begin to attract people who see you, not your persona. People who value your presence, not just your profile. People who don't need you to glow all the time to love you. And that kind of love, it doesn't spike dopamine. It builds safety. Let's talk about freedom. Not the kind that comes from logging off once a week. The kind that comes from no longer needing to be anyone other than who you are. You're not a brand. You're not a product. You're not content. You're a person, messy, tender, unoptimized. And finally, that feels like enough. Let's close with this. You thought you needed to be seen, to matter, to be approved, to exist, to be followed, to be real. But the truth, you are not a reflection. You are not a number. You are not a story that needs constant applause. You are here. Now, breathing, healing, becoming. Even if no one claps, even if no one watches, even if you never post again, you still matter. And for the first time, maybe you finally believe it.